straight into it then. Welcome back to the Young Fan Podcast and welcome to another match reaction for Oxford United as they took on Cheltenham Town on New Year's Day. Happy New Year to you all. 2022 is upon us. Was the best result upon us today, though? That's the question. Matthew Bell's already given his thoughts in the live chat. As always, I want to hear from you in the live chat. I'll be reading them out as the stream goes on. We're going to delve deep into the game today. My voice is slowly going. You can tell what sort of game it was. Also, we're going to look at the tactics board as well, breaking down this game tactically, because that also is really, really important. So we can get a really, really good look on this game. Because I think it's important to look at this game in different ways as well. Well, I mean, where do we want to start, really, is the big question. We'll start out by reading Matthew's chat out there. He says, that was a very annoying watch. We lacked urgency and took that extra second on passes that needed to get gone. Lost my voice of all the shouting I did. Matthew, I'm with you there. And I think you're right. There was a lack of urgency. I think in Oxford United's play for a large amount of it. And we'll start from the start, and we'll start in chronological order, starting from the start of the game. And I mean, to be honest, the game started a little bit flat. It started a little bit slow. I think I want to touch a while on Carl Robinson's interview because, like I said, in the last episode, large match reaction, I was saying how much I was thinking that and I still obviously stick by this, that Carl Robinson deserves real credit with what he's done with the Oxford United side and the way that he's implemented this really fascinating DNA and culture on Oxford United is obviously fantastic, and when we're so happy to be able to watch that week in, week out. And obviously I stand by that, but I did think his interview today was a little bit questionable, and I don't know if anyone else listened to it after the game. I do want to touch on that as well. But ultimately, my actual thoughts on it and my raw thoughts on it, really look at it from result as well as performance. I think we sort of got away with one, if I'm being honest. I'm going to be honest, I just think we did. I thought that maybe not that I'd say we need to lose the game, because we could have easily have gone out of that game and we could have easily have lost that game 1-0. On the other side of it, we maybe could have won the game 2-1 if Matty Taylor had scored his penalty, because obviously we did miss a penalty in the first half. But I still think we got away with one. I don't think our performance really did deserve much, if I'm going to be honest. I'm gonna be quite frank. I don't know if it's controversial and people might agree and disagree. I don't know. There was something about the game where it wasn't a very good performance. I know he said it was, but I don't think it was. And I'm not one of those fans that think that I expect an AFC Wimbledon standard performance we had on Wednesday, because I completely agree with what he said about obviously Cheltenham played a different way to AFC Wimbledon, and complete respect to go to Cheltenham, because the way they set up today certainly made it difficult for Oxford. And we could see that, and the performance definitely showed that it was a different game, and we had to play differently. But I still don't think we put enough and played to the high standards, or anywhere near the high standards that we can do. I thought there was a lot of lackluster performance. Let's not go overboard. It wasn't the worst performance we've had this season, but it certainly wasn't the best. And I think we've sort of been granted with exactly what we deserve, really. It wasn't a great performance. It wasn't an awful performance, but it's a draw, and we've drawn to a side that, if I'm being honest, can we be completely honest? If we want to be talking about automatic promotion, we want to be talking about top six, we've got to be winning. They're 14th in the league. Now, obviously, you can see why Cheltenham are doing very, very well for a newly promoted side. But we want to be talking about getting into the top two. We want to be talking about getting into the top six. Now, you've got to beat teams that are sat in 14th. And like I said, fair play to Cheltenham. They're having a very, very good first season in League One. And not ever, but back in League One, should I say? And you can see why they are. You can really see why they are, because they're so well organised, they're so well drilled. But like I said, I don't think we can sit here and go it was a really good performance and all that sort of thing, and say that it was a good 1-1. It'll be a good point come the end of the season. I don't think it will be. I think the good points at the end of the season will be a point at the Stadium of Light going to Sunderland, and I think they're the big points, not at home to Cheltenham. That they're not the points we will go back on. I saw someone and heard someone say on the same show that Carl Robinson was saying, I remember away a few years ago, Michael Appleton, as the manager at the time, we drawn a game 1-1. We were frustrated we didn't win, and he said that that point could be big come the end of the season. Well, let's be honest. I don't think at home to Cheltenham, again, no disrespect to Cheltenham, I don't think we're going to be looking back going at a point against Cheltenham is going to be the big point we look back on. It's going to be the points, like I said, against Sunderland away from home. They're the points you look back on, not these ones. These are the ones you've got to be winning. Right, we've got a lot of chats coming in, and I will be reading them out as always. I'm sorry I've been a little bit slow, but I wanted to sort of get that out of the way straight away. I'm not saying that it was an awful performance. I'm not saying, anything. I don't want to sort of seem sort of like knee-jerk with anything I'm saying. I'm just saying, those comments confused me slightly more than anything. And like I said, I'm the first person to support Carl Robinson. I think he's a fantastic coach. And what he's done with this Oxford United side has been incredible. Wednesday night completely just shows that. However, let's not get silly about this. And, that wasn't the best performance we've seen this season. It wasn't the worst, but it wasn't the best. I think we got what we deserved in that sense. Charlie Johnson says, I'm going to say I got their goalkeeper his yellow card. Were you behind the goal? Potentially, if you were, then that would have been a good reason for that. Paul Groves says, very frustrating game. We were sloppy, couldn't do anything really. 2 points lost. Paul, I think you're spot on, and that's what I mean. Paul says there exactly what I think a lot of us are saying. It's not that, it's nothing rash, it's nothing knee-jerk, it's 2 points dropped, and it's a frustrating 2 points dropped, because we were sloppy, and we weren't as good as we can be, and if you're not as good as you can be, and you don't play to those high standards that we know we can get to, you're going to drop points, and today was a bit of an example of that. I think it was a very good example of that. His comments on Brannigan incident wasn't right. I did hear there's Cameron Brannigan incident. I can't really comment on it. I didn't see that. I think you're right. Nothing until the 60th minute. Not good enough excuse to blame the fact we played on Wednesday to have a start that slow. I think not playing on Wednesday could even be. I don't think it should ever be used as an excuse really, because prior to that we had 2 weeks off. Players have, you have 2 weeks off and then a really good performance on Wednesday. You could have anything, but you should really just have that momentum to go today. I don't think that should be an excuse. Matthew Bell says, he seemed too positive in my eyes. It wasn't a good performance, but just a performance. Just a performance that did the job to get the point. Is a hard one to explain. It is a difficult one to explain, Matt. It is, because it really could have gone either way. We could have gone away losing the game because we were sloppy and we weren't that great, or we could have come away with it with a win, and Matty Taylor could have converted his penalty. And also, you look, if he converts that penalty, you don't know how the game changes. You go 1-0 up in the first half, you don't know how that game is affected and how things are looked at differently, and maybe Cheltenham play a little bit, maybe change their game plan slightly. You don't know. But missing that penalty, you imagine Cheltenham really got some confidence from that, and that drove them on to get their goal early on in the second half. But like I said, it was easily avoidable. Some of the passes, weren't as good as we've seen this season. We've seen passes from the likes of Herbie Kane and Cameron Brannigan. Again, Wednesday night is a great example of that. These really, really good passes that get these players in behind and get the Gavin Whites in behind who didn't start today. But the Williams uses his pace, and you can allow him to create. He can create space, Ryan Williams, even if he's playing on the wing. He can cut inside, he can drive into the opposition's defence and cause problems like that. We couldn't really see that today because Cheltenham didn't allow us to have that space. And again, that's where Cheltenham have got to have credit, because again, they were so well organised, so well drilled, and they didn't allow Oxford to really gain any sort of momentum in the game, any sort of space in the game. And again, I think, Carlson was saying how he had to sort of change the way we played, because they knew that Cheltenham were going to watch the game on Wednesday and then slightly set up a little bit differently. I get that. I do. But I still think if we'd have played like we did against Wimbledon today, or close to that, you can't, get a carbon copy of the exact same one, but you get close to that, I still think we could have got something from this game that was more than a point. But I don't know. You're looking back. It's hindsight's a wonderful thing. Cammy says, based on the performance, I take a point, but the fact we will drop teams to teams. We'll drop teams. I guess you mean drop points to teams than them, the worse than them. I get your point. I do get your point, Cammy. You're right. And yeah, I think and also on leading on to that point as well, I think that, like I said at the start, that performance warrants the result, really. I don't think we deserve to lose the game. Maybe we did. I still think we got a little bit lucky to get a draw from it. I do think we were. We weren't that great. We really, really weren't that great. So to sort of, maybe a point is fair, but I really don't think we certainly didn't deserve more. And I think we maybe did, with the performance level really not being there, and Cheltenham playing well as well, really counteracting the way that Oxford United plays. And they clearly done their homework. They knew the way that Oxford were going to play. And you could see the way that they were going to play the game. And they certainly tactically set up brilliantly against Oxford today. And they knew exactly how they were going to combat Oxford in so many different ways. If you've just joined us, get your thoughts in the live chat. Remember, leave a like as well. Please leave a like and subscribe. We're on the road now to 700 subscribers. In the meantime, 620 subscribers would be what we want to try and get to. So please, if you haven't subscribed, you haven't left a like, it's free to do both of those. Just hit that thumbs up button. It means a lot. It shows the support of the podcast. And we've still got some more points to get through. Charlie Johnson says, I agree with the guy on the radio about the points, because if we're battling for automatic promotion and we miss by a point, you blame that point against Cheltenham when we don't beat a mid-table team. Okay, yeah, I guess so. I guess, Charlie, I guess you could take it from, you can look at that. I understand. I understand it from that perspective. I do, but I don't know if that's what. I don't really know if that's what he meant by. You look at maybe he did. I don't. Yeah, that's a really really good argument to what we're trying to say. I don't know. There's something about it. I don't know. I just think you've got to be beating these teams if you want to be talking about automatic promotion. And again, if we miss out by a point, we miss out by a point. And maybe you do look back on this game if we lose it and go, this is a really good point. And I still go away thinking that in hindsight, the performance probably warranted a point just about. But it just wasn't that great. The Fans Hub says, hello, I'm a Wickham fan. What a win against Charlton. Yes, a really good win for you at the Valley this afternoon. And you needed a result, didn't you, after last one. Charlton losing at home, they're going to be a little bit disappointed by that. Welcome to the live stream, my friend. I keep giving your thoughts in that live chat. We're going to switch now over to the tactics board, because I want to show you a few things about how Oxford United set up in this game, but more importantly, how Cheltenham set up. Because I think there's more to it than how Oxford set up, because I think we set up a little bit differently, and we did make a tactical switch in the game. However, Cheltenham from the start played really, really well. And tactically set up perfectly. So let's switch over to over here. You now should be able to hear me here. Can you hear me? I believe you can. Right, so let's go over to this screen here. So this is the this is sort of a second half setup, if you like. No, it's not. This is a first half setup with obviously Cheltenham shooting towards the left and Oxford shooting towards the fence end, just over here. You can see the subs here. We've got White and Winner, and the reason why I've got them two, those two says that we don't normally mention the subs, but they're really, really important in the way that Oxford changed in that second half, and I'd say got that equalising goal, and was the reason why we got that equalising goal. But straight away, look, if you just look at that, and it was as like that, and I would maybe even draw those fullbacks a little bit deeper. I would drill them back a little bit deeper. And you can see, I'm even trying to create this setup on this tactic board website here. And you could see how, and it was so difficult to set this up. And the reason for that is because it's so narrow and everything is so central. You know, when I'm setting it up against teams that play a 4-3-3, they're similar to Oxford. You've got the spread out, you've got the fullbacks, very, very wide. You can see how Oxford's set up as well. It's sort of quite symmetrically set up. I would put maybe Brannigan a little bit deeper, because McGuane was almost playing out here in that first half. Very, very, I'd say more attacking than Brannigan was. But you can see how tight and how compact it was. And that's why Oxford United struggled. And that's what Carlson means, and why Carlson was spot on when he said they didn't allow us to have that room. You just think there, who do we want to give that ball to? Where do we want the ball to be, and who do we want to get on the ball the most? Now, there's a few players that come to mind. For me, the two that come to mind straight away are the midfielders in Kane and Brannigan. And I'd say Kane more than ever at the moment. You want to get Kane on the ball here, and you can see Kane's got the ball here. And I know this is sort of a snapshot, but there was multiple occasions where this was exactly the position we found ourselves in. You've got May up front there, who's doing fantastically well this season for Cheltenham. He's scoring goals, but most importantly, you could see that work rate and that press they were trying to do. And the difference between Wimbledon and today's game was Wimbledon let us have the ball. And I said it on that match reaction. I said, Herbie Kane will love it when we play against the side that just allow Oxford United to have the ball, allow us to have the possession, allow us to create those chances, allow us to be more expressive with our play. When a team presses us and plays a little bit, I'd say, more aggressive towards Oxford United, that's where Kane will be, I guess, slightly ineffective. Still important, but slightly ineffective. And today we saw that. It wasn't a great Kane performance today. It wasn't a great Brannigan performance today. It wasn't really a great Sykes performance today. It certainly wasn't a very good Marcus McGuane performance. I thought he was absolutely off the boil today. And the fullbacks as well, because the fullbacks had to be really careful as well, because they played a two-striker formation with Wright playing behind them in that sort of number 10 role as well. So you could see there, Thornley and Moore were then stuck with almost 3 players. So Long had to come in and help. Seddon loved playing up here on Wednesday night. He had to play much deeper today. He had to play much, much deeper because Blair, who's playing as a wing-back, liked to get up there. Freestone did a little bit, not as much, but Seddon had to help out defensively because Thornley would get exposed by May. May loved running into these areas as well. If May could get into those areas, he loved it. He could get in there, and because he got the two-striker formation, you've got Joseph that can also get in there as well. Same goes to Joseph. If Joseph can get into that position there, Long now needs to come in, Moore needs to come in, Thornley can even shift across, allows May to have even more, which means Seddon has to come across. Just like that, you've got a back four that maybe can't be as expressive going forward like they were against Wimbledon. And again, that's where things can be a little bit more difficult. And that's why the setup by Cheltenham today was so important with why they got that result. And I think the start of this podcast, I'm going to be honest, was a little bit all over the shop because I'm trying to sort of really put my thoughts into words, and that sometimes can be really, really difficult because I do this off the cuff a lot of the time, most of the time, and I do rely on hearing your thoughts. But it was one of those where the way that they set up today was a big reason why Oxford United's performance was below par. Not solely. Again, we've played teams I think were better set up than Cheltenham and who played better football than Cheltenham. But obviously and we've done better against them. We weren't great today. But Cheltenham were a very, very good example of a team that can come here, very, very well organised, very, very well drilled, clearly well coached by a really, really well coached side, by a really, really good manager. And they could do exactly, and they could know exactly what Oxford United wanted them to do, and that was to sit off them and not allow them to have the ball. Or you can press, be more aggressive, be more on the front foot, play a high line. Can we talk about that high line? Raglan, an ex-Oxford United player, Pollock, who's in there for Boyle, who I believe has just come back from COVID, who was injured, he was on the bench for some reason today. I presume it is one of those things. So we know there's an outbreak at Cheltenham, and there was one. A high line. And it's very, very rare as well. You see a high line this high, actually, in League One. Oxford United do tend to play a high line, but I've not seen many teams play a high line like that. And again, that was tactically, the reason for that tactically is because they know why they want to play a high line. If you drop deep like this, just like this, obviously I'm not going to, we'll move them back as well. You can see there, just like that, if you're playing that deep, you're allowing that space in there, and then Kane can run in there, Brannigan can run in there. Taylor basically can't be offside, so he can be right on the edge of the penalty area where he wants to be. Wimbledon played a really, really low line, so Sykes could run into this area, and just like that, look how under pressure you are when you're playing a low line. Look how closer Oxford United players are to the goal than where they could be if they're playing that high line. If you're setting up like that, then you've got to drop May back. Then you've got to drop just like that. Everything changes. Whereas when and that's exactly how Wimbledon did, and that's how they set up. And just like that, then you've got those players coming back. But then today you've got players that are much, much higher up. You've got players like Circum, we know his ability. He's still now going. He's a very, very good player. You've got players in these areas now, playing a lot of pieces, and again, it's much more compact. You can see when I spread that out, playing a deeper line, there's much more space, but now everyone's back to where they set up during the game. You can see Kane's got no room to create anything. Kane gets the ball, May's there, Wright's there, Circum presses, Thomas presses. Kane can come out here, Joseph presses, Freeslow can come in. Is he going to get exposed if he goes out there? Not really, because they can shift across there with Long. Who can sit there, who's playing as sort of that left centre-back, and then he can shift over. So you can see exactly how things can be done. Right, I've got a chat here from Cammy. He says, but if key players are playing that bad and we still pick up a point, we can only get better from here. Exactly, Cammy, and you make a very, very good point there, and I completely agree with you. I really, really do agree with you. I think you make a really, really good point. So you can see that how that was the case, and you can see that Cheltenham certainly did that, and you can see why they did that, and that was a big reason why Oxford United's performance today wasn't maybe as good as it could be. When we talk about White as well, I want to talk about them because obviously I've brought them on there as well, and the sort of slight change of shape. McGuane, who was really poor today, I think Marcus McGuane missed an opportunity today. I think he got put in that side. Gavin White was left on the bench. We believe that was a tactical change. McGuane had an opportunity today to come in there and prove a point because he hasn't been given enough starts. I don't think he has been given enough starts. And I don't think he took his opportunity today. I think he had a chance today to sit in that midfield or play a role in that midfield and really sort of knock on the door of those starting positions. He really got an opportunity. Carl Robinson said to him, look, it's a big game. A big game at home. I want you to play in midfield and show us what you're all about and demand the starting a lineup spot. I don't think he did that today. I don't think he demanded it at all. I think he looked a little bit off it. I thought some of his passing was off. I think what McGuane is so good at is actually getting on the ball and driving. He didn't do enough of that today. He didn't play to his strengths. He tried, I think, to try maybe too hard, or he was trying to do different things. I think when you've got an opportunity like that, when you've got an opportunity to come into a side and demand a spot, you've got to try and not play and try too hard and try things that really are risky. In that position, in that circumstance, you've got to try and try and play your own game. Try and play what makes you a good player and what makes you at this level. I don't think McGuane did that today. I don't think it's all over Marcus McGuane. I just think he had an opportunity today to come in and really knock on the manager's door come Monday morning. I don't think he'll be knocking on that door. I don't think he will be. And he came off. So McGuane came off for Gavin White. Obviously not just like that. And then Sykes came in that midfield and White played like that. And you could see that straight away in that area. That was lively straight away. You could see White come on. He was really, really lively. And last two games, Gavin White was unlucky not to start today. I think he should have started, personally. We know that Carl Robinson decided not to start him because he wanted to have a winger on the bench so he could change the game. I do sort of get that. Martin Forrest says the players look tired. Maybe they did. The thing is, I don't think they should be that tired. You've had 2 weeks off, really, and then you've played on Wednesday. You're playing on Saturday. I understand it's normally Tuesday, Saturday, so Wednesday, Saturday, but it's the Christmas period. It was what happens every single, what happens, hopefully, maybe not as much this year, but it happens every year. It does happen like that every year. It's a crammed time of the year. So I don't really think that can be used as an excuse. But I get your point. I do get your point, Martin. I think you might have something there. But I don't think I don't think these players can be too tired. Maybe they could have not pressed as much, when they were 3-0 up against Wimbledon and try and sort of preserve their energy. Maybe they could have done. But again, I don't think you can look at it like that. I think these players had an opportunity. I also think Carl Robinson knew that when he was picking his team, I don't think he could change too much because that Wimbledon performance was so good. You've got to try and keep as many of the players that did so well against Wimbledon on the pitch starting. And weirdly, I think the most influential player on Wednesday was Gavin White, and he wasn't in the starting 11. I think that was a bit of a mistake, personally. I think you got to start Gavin White. So good on Wednesday, and when he came on today, he showed that level of quality and that really good high energy, high intensity. Again, what we're seeing more with Gavin White again now, and what we haven't seen with Gavin White for a few weeks, is this sort of what we have done in recent weeks. But the week before that, we didn't see that sort of cutting edge. We didn't see that championship, lively, exciting, flary player. We didn't see it. We're seeing it again. And if we can keep seeing it, then I think he's going to be a really, really good player. He is a really good player, but a really good player for Oxford United and a really, really important player come the end of the season and as we sort of now go into the second half of the season. Because I thought, again, he was really quite good today. When he came on, he really made an impact. Anyway, as we were saying, that was really, really lively, and that changed straight away. We didn't get a goal by playing that, but you could see there was a change. There was a really shift in that tempo. White came on, he demanded a tempo change, and he was a really, really influential player at getting that. And then what we saw as well was this. Now, when Winnall came on, he came on for Williams, and I've got my opinions on Winnall. I think there's a player when he's fully fit that can be decent, but I think he hasn't been fully fit enough. So I don't think we can really comment too much more on that. Look, he's got a great track record of scoring goals where he's gone, but he's got to stay fit, and he hasn't been able to do that at Oxford. I'm judging him off his Oxford performances. I'm sure he's a great guy. Again, I'm not judging him off being a person. I've never met him. We judge players off performance. We judge players off their footballing ability. And there's been moments where Sam Winnall's been very, very good. But there's been too many moments where Sam Winnall hasn't actually been on the pitch. So it's quite difficult to really know. I still don't know if Sam Winnall is a League One level striker. I really don't know if he is. Because he doesn't play enough and because he can't stay fit. And again, that's not his fault, obviously. Injuries are a part of football, and some players get them more often than others, but it's just so frustrating. He came on today and he didn't really do anything, but he did anything wrong. So really, this is how they set up. So we sort of had White playing on his left-hand side, Sykes playing here. I can't actually remember. Was he playing on the left-hand side, actually? I think Sykes was actually playing on the left, wasn't he? Because it's just strange, because it's the second half, but I'm in the first half setup on here, but this is the second half. And then we sort of played like this, so it's almost like a diamond sort of thing. You sort of had Sykes playing here. So it's almost like that as well. So you also had that at times, and it can sort of turn to that in there, and then you can sort of see those attacking numbers increase. And you can see their Sykes then can run into that. White can run into there. You've got two bodies in the middle that can get on the end of the crosses. You've got Brannigan here that's going to create things and try and slip Winnall in, slip Taylor in, or across to Taylor, who can then, maybe get a ball in behind to Gavin White. So you can see that. And then they also play sort of this diamond formation with Gavin White in this number 10 role here. And then Sykes playing, is that right there? That is right. No, that is right, I think. And then and then playing in that formation there. So yeah, it was White in that position. And then you've got that sort of more diamond formation, but it's more of a wide diamond formation because you've got Brannigan and Sykes out there, and then you've got Kane in that position. So yeah, it's quite a wide diamond formation, but it's worked. He did it against Carlson, decided to do it against Bolton. Didn't really work there, but you could see it had a bit of potential. The issue you got there is I think you just lose Brannigan's quality there slightly because he can play in that more midfield role and find those passes and those really, really good passes, and that's really good attacking sort of lethal, pass where he's got that assist on him, that creativity. You sort of lose that, I think, when he comes out here. He's still obviously very, very good here, but I think you lose it slightly. Cammy says, given Gavin was said to have a tight hamstring, we might not see Marcus for a while now after a real shame that Adji has fallen off a cliff from the play he was last season. Yeah, Adji has done, and I don't think many people are arguing with that. He wasn't in the squad today. We believe it still he's out with COVID. But, and that's the thing as well. Some players, actually, he hasn't. I mean, today maybe could have come off the bench and done something if he was fit. I don't know, and we will never know. But I think if you're going to play this formation, you're going to play this sort of diamond a little bit more often. I think you do need a striker that you can rely on a little bit more than Winnall. I still think if Winnall, like I said, you can't doubt the numbers. Wherever he's gone, he scored goals. But you need someone that's going to be fit and you can rely on. I don't think you can rely on Winnall to be fit every week. In fact, you can't rely on Winnall to be fit every week. You can't rely on every player or any player to play every single week. But you want to get those players in the door that can at least give it a very, very good go at doing that. So yeah, it is what it is. And that's sort of how that tactical set up. We will briefly look at the stats, of course. Keep giving your thoughts in the live chat. If you haven't left a like, please do that. If you haven't subscribed, please do that as well. This is sort of how it went. Gavin White got that assist when he came on, showed exactly that sort of creativity he's got. You can see there. And by the way, the goal we conceded, I haven't spoken about it yet. It was horrific defending from that corner. I saw Carlson say it was a little error. I'll have to watch it back, but it looked from where I was looking it looked like an absolute calamity of mistakes. Now it might be, it might not be. It might have just looked bad, but it was on the floor. It was, why was there no player like Elliot Moore and Thornley, the defenders, or at least the centre half, got to do something with that. You've got to just get it out. Just get the ball away from the penalty area. Don't try and, sometimes you don't have to play it out all the time. Just get the ball out of that area, and we couldn't do it, and we paid the price of it. I believe it was sort of like a miss-hit originally from Wright, then he sort of got the rebound, it went in, but either way, just get that ball away. We've got to be better with set pieces. We've got to be better at attacking set pieces. We've been better at defending them. Touch wood. We've been better at defending them, and it was a bit frustrating today that we conceded a set piece. But attacking them offensively from set pieces, we do not offer enough. We really don't offer enough. We've tried doing some short corners, but I don't know what it is. I don't know what exactly. I think it's because really we've only got one threat in the air, and that's Elliot Moore. Thornley's not a massive defender, and Steve Senna's normally taking the corner, so it's difficult really. So maybe play those short corners and try and do something a little bit differently. I don't know, and that's going to be something that they look at the training ground. But offensively, we haven't been great at corners, and it's a frustrating today that defensively it was a really, really poor one to give away. They gave Mark Sykes man of the match. I think that's fair. I don't think any Oxford United player was amazing. They've given Mark Sykes a 7. Now, I don't know which game they were watching. They weren't watching the same game as I was. And that's why stats can be slightly misleading people, because he's got an 81% pass accuracy. He's been given a 7 out of 10. Marcus McGuane was not a 7 out of 10 today. Again, I like Marcus McGuane. He really is a good player on his day. And when he's doing things that he's good at, and when he does things where he gets hold of the ball, he drives, he causes problems, he wins fouls, he creates things, he drives into space. Marcus McGuane's that sort of player. Today he didn't offer that, and if you don't show what you're good at, and you don't play to your own strength, and you maybe play try a bit too hard to impress the manager or impress whoever, and try and, I just think he sort of paid the price of doing that today. He wasn't good enough, and it's frustrating because we all know as an Oxford fan base, I think, that there's a very, very, very good player in Marcus McGuane. Today, I think he just let himself down a little bit, and he'll be frustrated, and we're frustrated as well, because you never want to see a player not do well. I never want to see an Oxford United player not do well. That's the way it is. I'm an Oxford United fan more than anything, so I want to see every player that steps foot on the field do a good job, and Marcus McGuane wasn't quite up to speed today, and he'll be frustrated, like I said, and so will everyone else. Brannigan was being hauled to the ground in the centre of the field, but Sykes made an error with his flicks by giving away the corner. Right. Brannigan was being hauled to the ground in the centre of the field. Sykes was made an error with his flicks by giving away the corner. Okay, fair enough. Cheers, like Cammy. So that's sort of how the setup I said there as well. It's a 3 at the back, very, very tight formation there with sort of the wing backs, 2 midfielders, and a very, very narrow formation, not allowing Oxford any room to play into. But looking at the stats as well, you can see Oxford United. Possession, we had all the ball, not all the ball, but 64% of it. We had more shots than them. They had the same on target. We had more shots off target. Maybe could have been a bit better at hitting the target. I think that's maybe something we could look at there from, while we're refreshing. We didn't want to do that. 16 shots, 4 on target. It's not great. It's the same as someone that's a team that's got 8 shots, so that's a little bit frustrating. And although we did have the ball, and it says there we had 64% of it. How much of that 64% was really quite proactive and attacking and free-flowing? I don't normally do this. I don't normally like to compare it to other games. And I know comparing it to Wimbledon is going to frustrate people. And it's probably, if Carl Robinson watched this, and I know he doesn't, I don't know he doesn't, but I presume he doesn't, he'll be frustrated by me doing this. But I think 64% possession, again, is quite misleading, because they were on us every time, and they didn't allow us to have the sort of that sort of space to play into. So we did have the ball, but what could we do with the ball? That's the question. What could we do with the ball? We look at AFC Wimbledon here. Let's look at this Wimbledon game. How much ball did we have? 63%. So look at this, right? We had more of the ball today. We had more of the ball today than we did against Wimbledon. But I can tell you for a fact, what we did with the ball is completely different. You can see that here. Look at that. 13 shots, but looking at the 3 big chances to their none. 7 shots on target. Much better on shots off target. We had less shots on target, I believe. No, we didn't. We had more shots on target, but we were much better, much more clinical with those shots. 13, 7 on target today. 16, 4 on target. You can see we're, I guess, a little bit more wasteful with it slightly. I want to look at that. Look at some of this here. You can see passes 541. How do we make today? 534, so quite similar. Accuracy of passes, similar. No, worse today, really. You can see a bit worse. Long balls, we better, I presume. Yeah, we are better. Generally, the passing accuracy was worse than it was on Wednesday. And you could see that, and I think that was pretty obvious to say. But it's interesting to look at those stats and comparing them. Looking at those 2 performances, I'm about to watch those 2 performances. It's quite intriguing to see exactly how they, sort of how it looks. Anyway, I think that's where I'm going to wrap things up. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for watching. It's been an absolute pleasure. We've had a lot of people in here today, and I've absolutely loved having that sort of interaction. Like I said, if you haven't left a like and you haven't subscribed, please do just that. It really would mean a lot. I'll see you next time. Stay safe. Take care. Like I said, I'll see you all very, very soon. Happy New Year. Here's to 2022. Hopefully a decent one. Didn't start off with a win, but it started off with a point. Not quite the same, but it's all right.